AITA for hanging up on my mother-in-law after she booked a family holiday that excluded me? Posted by Clearingthegarage. I, 30 female, have recently been really sick and in and out of the hospital getting infusion treatments. My husband has been my rock through it all. Last year, we moved states because my in-laws asked us to. They have a microfamily and want to stay close. Since our move, they've never once come to visit us except after we bought our house. They visited for an hour and left to beat traffic. We've driven to them over 15 times, an hour each way, and they still expect we go to them even though the drive now wipes me out and risks my health. I don't have any family or close friends here besides them, and despite my husband asking several times for help, they always make excuses as to why they can't visit even though they're both retired. What's going on now is my in-law and husband share a birthday. She recently called him saying it would be fun if the whole family went on a week-long trip to celebrate and couple it with Thanksgiving. When my husband said he'd need to check with me since I have appointments and, his job, she told him it's best I stay home and rest while everyone else went. He immediately told her no. He wasn't leaving me when I'm this sick, especially during the holiday. He asked if we could postpone until I completed these rounds of treatment and just stick to something local. That's when mother-in-law dropped that she'd already booked a resort 3 hours away, spent thousands, and that if we didn't come, we'd be ruining Thanksgiving and her birthday. When he asked why she'd book it without confirming with us, she said it was the only week her brother was free. That's when it really hit me. She never intended to include me and possibly my husband. Her only concern was his brother's availability, whom she sees every day. It felt like she either purposely booked the trip to guilt my husband into going without me or as a way to exclude us. I was over it, exhausted, and just done with the lack of effort or care from her. I asked my husband if I could talk to her, and in the calmest, most sarcastic tone, I said, "Please don't cancel your vacation. I really, truly hope you have such an amazing time on your birthday, so much so that you forget we're even there, because we won't be. Bye." Then I hung up the phone. My husband took the phone and put it in his pocket. He told me he had no notes, and we carried on with our day. Now, mother-in-law, father-in-law, and brother-in-law are calling nonstop, leaving messages saying I was rude and disrespectful. So, AITA for hanging up on my mother-in-law after she booked a family holiday that excluded me. Commenter 1. NTA, and I think you should talk to your husband about moving out of the area, possibly closer to your own family if that would be desirable. I'm especially alarmed at the way they tried to convince your husband to go on holiday without you. Maybe they secretly want to drive a wedge between you and your spouse so they can get you out of the family. You know, the whole get him alone so they can start subtly trashing you angle. Alternatively, your husband's brother is the golden child, and your in-laws don't care if their plans don't work for you and your husband. Commenter 2. I hope your health recovers and you and your husband have a truly wonderful life together. Get your house on the market and move to somewhere you can heal and relax as much as you can. Your in-laws have shown their colors by excluding you and not visiting. Prioritize your own little family above all else. Sending you and hubby healing energy. Commenter 3. Now, time to talk to your husband about selling and moving back to your village. You gave it a chance with his side, and it's not working. Go back to your family and support. You need that support much more than his parents want you to around. Update. I posted this question after telling a coworker the story, and she was adamant that I needed to apologize. She said hanging up on anyone, especially my mother-in-law, was unspeakable no matter the circumstance. Her reaction made me wonder AITA. But after reading your messages, I was flooded with relief. My husband and I have still been receiving VMs from mother-in-law and brother-in-law. They've escalated to the point that we have now blocked them on all platforms of social media, email, and our cell phones. The last message my husband received was that they knew something was wrong with me because I have no family, which, for context, they are aware I was abused and starved as a child. I left home at 18 and went no contact. Our house had no locks on the bedroom doors or bathrooms so that there was nowhere to hide from the abuse. The windows were nailed shut, and if I didn't return home right after school, which was timed, then my dad would hit me or make me kneel on rice. People weren't allowed over, not like I wanted them to come over, and my friends used to joke that I lived in Fort Knox because of the security gate and system that the entire neighborhood could see. The only good thing that came from my suffering was perfect grades. It was expected that I'd be an absolutely perfect student and always be respectful, presentable, and professional. Anything less than straight A's meant being beaten until I had no tears left to cry. When I threatened to call CPS once after a pretty bad physical incident, my dad said something along the lines of, "If you think this is bad, it's worse out there. You're a girl and will be used like a plaything." So I kept my head down, worked hard, did what I was told, acted like I fell in line, and got the hell out of there. I never looked back. His family is well aware of my story, so it was quite shocking to hear his mom bring this up now. For all those asking why we moved when asked, my husband's family presented as very close. Both his parents were only children, and his grandparents are no longer living. They are very tight-knit and still take annual family vacations and spend holidays together. Brother-in-law moved a few years ago, and traditions carried on. Last year, brother-in-law got engaged and announced that he and his future wife would be trying to have children soon after their wedding. We were all ecstatic. They haven't had a baby in the family for 30 years since my husband was born. Brother-in-law's future in-laws live a few blocks from him and are going to help out whenever they have a baby, and my in-laws threw in their hat to also help out. That's how the move came about. Brother-in-law and mother-in-law asked if we would consider moving too as a way to stay close together and be in our future niece and nephew life. We figured if we could find jobs equal to what we have now, then why not? It was actually welcomed since at that point I wasn't living 20 miles away from my parents and was a little anxious about running into them. My husband and I also talked about the possibility of moving, but it seems almost impossible with work, insurance, selling a house, and medical treatments. I was on the waiting list for 2 months with the infusion clinic, and we live in one of the largest metropolitan cities. I can't imagine the setback of trying to get initial appointments with specialists again and insurance approval. It would negatively affect my health and set me back, if not worsen my condition. Then there's insurance and finding a new job. Neither of our workplaces have other offices, so we'd have to get new roles, and I've heard competition has been tough with layoffs, and coming in as a candidate that needs accommodations for serious illness would be a tough sell. I'd practically miss 1 to 2 days a week. We're lucky that my place of work has been amazing and understanding. They cover 100% of my medical bills, which is unheard of. So for now, we're going to stay, and we'll consider a move when I'm better. And at least we know our in-laws won't pay us a visit, so there's some grace in that. At this point, my husband and I acknowledge and accept that priorities have shifted for his family. We will act accordingly and create our own new holiday traditions. Any ideas? And also, thank you to everyone for your kind words. And you're right, my husband is pretty hot. Commenter 1. Your husband is awesome. I recommend you read a book by Pete Walker, Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving. High child adversity exam scores shows poor health outcomes is a topic that is discussed in this book. Commenter 2. Absolutely this, and I suggest your husband do some reading as well. They victim-blamed child you for abuse? As awesome as your husband is, what did he go through being raised by these people? People who victim-blame actual children are usually telling on themselves. OP response. Really unique upbringing, actually. His mom traveled for work and was gone Monday to Thursday and came home for weekends. His grandmother took care of him until he was 15. She became ill, and that's when his parents figured he and his brother were old enough to take care of themselves. His dad is a craftsman, so he was always squirreled away somewhere tinkering. His parents never yelled at him, grounded him, or anything. He just hung out with friends and could do whatever he wanted. Commenter 3. My holiday traditions. I make orange rolls, bacon and eggs for my husband and the kids Christmas morning after we open stockings and maybe one gift. I also drink glue wine or hot mulled wine all morning. After all gifts are opened, the kids play and I watch Christmas Vacation and several other Christmas movies in my PJs. Later that afternoon or evening, we play a board game as a family. I try to gift a new board game each year so that we have a new one to play on Christmas Day. Finally, because my kids and I like to read, we gift books we have already read to one another. So if the 7-year-old read a book they really liked, they might gift it to me or the 10-year-old or even the 16-year-old. Everyone is aware the book can be secondhand and doesn't have to be age appropriate. It's about sharing something we find special or meaningful with one another. This is a really cost-effective way that the children can offer gifts to one another. OP, I wish you happy holidays. If you're looking to start holiday traditions, I hope those ideas help.